level. Next level.
by my window, rainbow singing at my door, and the Georgia pines and dandelions are bobbing in the careless summer breeze. Sunshine skipping.
Hello, I am the Ronan Pawn, and this is a twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn. Is anything still actually working presently? Plung, your fly was open. Yeah, I kind of saw that while I was entering too. It's not open, it's just floppy, kind of loose. It's floppy and kind of loose. I could be describing anything that. It's just the fabric that I'll try and be better about that. Welcome to a X-rated Ronan Pawn stream. It was a slip. Sometimes the nipple pops out. What are you gonna do? Listen, there ain't much to see anyway. We've all seen it before, and we've seen more interesting ones, I think. Welcome to a twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream. Let's have a beer and just relax into a long, grueling, and arduous process that I've already been deep into for, quite a while now. We're 2 hours late to when we usually start the live streams here because I've been spent the last 2.5 hours trying to get this thing behind me working. Pulled it out of storage. It's a USB electronic drum kit that I've had for years and years and years and years and years and years. And it's actually pretty good once you get it. Well, it's playable once you get it working and everything. But good God, I am just saw a little pawn thick or thigh. It's just we'll just call it the THICC. That's what you saw. You saw a little pawn thick. So yeah, thank you, Josh Woodward, for the afterglow. This is a drumstick. That's a drum kit. The problem, after all of my work and spending like $5 or something like that, a little bit less than $5 over the course of the past 2 hours, it was one of the things I went out and, okay, give me some more virtual audio cables from the guy that makes virtual audio cables. And it's donationware, but I donated because I had to. Because I wanted extra, and he makes it donationware, So that's cool. Sounds good to me. Looks like you got it all working. The problem is the latency is so bad, by which I mean maybe 20 milliseconds or something, that I can't actually play this drum kit the way it is right now. No cluster truck? Something different, says RMAJ? Yay! Yeah, right? So, yeah, there's a full drum kit going on here. I cannot play it is the problem because it's like the latency, the delay is so hard there that it just eats, I can't keep up with it. I can't play 20 milliseconds before I want the sound to fire, so. I can do stuff like this though. I can't even do that. I lied to you. It's the latency is killing me on it, and it was either, well, we won't have a live stream today, or, invite you to join me as I try and figure out what the hell I can possibly do about this situation with the drum kit. So welcome to shirtless drumming, please. This is why it would be appropriate, right, to the scenario. Like Twitch is cool with it if it's appropriate to the scenario. If you're on a beach, man takes his shirt off. If you're playing drums, it gets sweaty, take your shirt off. If you're having consensual sex, you can get naked, right? That's how Twitch's rules were. I'm pretty sure I understand them. I got them straight up. Yeah, so what I've got set up right here is the USB drum kit. It's basically this box back here. Come on over here. So this little box right here has no real brain of its own. The way that a usual electronic drum kit does. And instead, all it does is collect the MIDI signals from all of the pads when they're being hit, and then put them over the USB and send them to the PC. And then the PC acts as the brain, which is what's going on over here. So I've got myself a VST host, virtual virtual instruments. So I've got a host, Cantabile Lite, which I picked out because it was free. And I've got M Drummer is what I'm using for making the actual sounds of the drums. Changing the raw MIDI signals into, actual drumming sounds. And so I've got it routed such that the drums come in, and then they go to this VST plugin, Veloscaler, which is velocity scaling for came up on the wrong screen, for MIDI. So basically, you know, there's a difference here between whether I tap or I... how hard I hit, basically. And the same would be true about like a good MIDI keyboard as well. You know, you can either just, you know, press on the keys or you can slam the keys, so there's velocity. And what I'm doing right now is I'm scaling the velocity so that anything that's too low will get a little bit extra velocity, because this drum kit is, the sensitivity kind of sucks, and generally it just doesn't feel right unless I scaled the velocity. So I've put a velocity scaler in line with the MIDI signal, and then we get into actual M-Drummer, which this is a M-Drummer Small, a free version that they don't actually distribute anymore. They say, you know, feel free to use that, but we're not working on that anymore. We're not working on the freeware version. If you want to pay money, you can pay money and get a lot of cool things, including more drums and more access to all the things that don't actually work in this edition, because they want you to, you know, pay money. This is not fully functional. That's not fully functional. It works enough for trying to get this thing set up anyway. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of this. And when I push the audio straight through to my desktop audio, the latency is just fine. Totally playable. It's good. Problem is, if I want to be able to, say, play music on the PC and then play the drums along with it, now we've got issues. Because this program, this VST host, when it taps into the desktop audio, it's going to take over all the desktop audio. So you can't push audio into the input for the computer's desktop audio from anywhere else. So trying to come up with a system where I can route everything to get desktop audio coming through and coming through over the speakers, but also the drum kit coming through and also coming over the speakers, while bearing in mind that I have a very complicated setup for this here microphone that goes through Reaper and does some, you know, inline equalization and compression and stuff like that. I've got a lot of moving parts here, and I've had this working before, not with this drum kit, but with the Aero drums, which is just a set of sticks with some balls on the end of it, and then there's a camera that tracks your movement. Those are cool too. Harder to get actually working because the lighting is very precise. Equally as hard with this kind of stuff, but hard to get working because trying to get your lighting right is very difficult. So yeah, I've been struggling with trying to get this working and get the latency low enough that I can actually friggin' play it, you know, on a show, on a live stream here. But yeah, I could do that. Let's see. Let's see. Do you get the same latency if you route the MIDI to a different instrument, says Lo-Fi Lou? Well, like I said, yeah, it's definitely not in this, in the, you know, VST host, because if I go straight through Wasapi, if I go straight to the source, then I'm good. What I've had to set up for this, in fact, yeah, let me explain the rest of it now. So what I'm doing presently, I believe, I don't know, it's been a lot. If we go to Tools, Options, we'll see that what I've got going on right now is I went online and I purchased more of these VB audio cable drivers, which are basically just virtual sound cards. That's basically all it is. Virtual sound cards that have both a playback and a recording side to them, an input and an output. And my problem is that the best sample rate for this seems to be 44.1. 48K was what I was trying for a minute, and that didn't work out. My problem is with the buffer size here. So at 320, it's not going to work because I'm in the options menu, but you heard what it works at as 320. Going down to 256 would improve my latency significantly, but when I do, that's what we get. That's what we get. So basically the lowest latency that I can get working with these audio cables is 320. And I've tried double buffering the audio as well, and that doesn't help. I've pushed the number of audio threads being used up to the virtual CPU count, if that would help, and it doesn't really seem to have helped. But yeah, so 320. And now 320 isn't working either. Just play them like that, yeah. Yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it? So now 320 isn't working either, and it just seems a little bit sketchy and a little bit weird and a little bit touchy on all this stuff. In fact, with that in mind, what if I went down to 192? Okay. Yeah. So 192 would probably be the place where I'd want to be. Now, what if I stopped everything and then turned it back on? No. What if I closed the program and then reopened it? Because it is touchy, like it just worked in 320, and then I tried it again, and it wasn't working in 320 anymore either. So maybe... Almost. Almost. So it's very sketchy like that. Let's try the same sort of we broke the system at 256. So I'll put it into 256 mode. Definitely not working. Close it down. Pop Cantabile back open. I don't think this is going to work, but it's worth trying. Nope. Nope. So let's try and get 320 working again, just to confirm that we haven't gone completely frigging insane. Yeah, that works. But it's... Hey, a music stream, says Noah Craw. It could be, if we could get the damn thing working.
Play with sample rate.
Sample rate. So I have done that, but we absolutely can do that together and see if we don't get anywhere. 48 is, standard these days. Here's the weird thing. Look at this. It estimates the buffer duration to be 7.26 milliseconds based on these figures. If I go...
Pawn, do it, pawn, do it, pawn, do it, pawn, do
Wow,
it, pawn,
that's gonna go for a long time. You paid a lot of money to do that.
Pawn, do it, pawn, do it, pawn, do it.
So the sample rate with the 42, the 42 and 48, 41 point, 48, can't think for some reason. So it estimates that if we did 48,000 hertz at 320 buffer size, the buffer duration would actually come down. It would actually be better, which is, weird to my mind, because 48,000 hertz means more processing. 48,000 hertz means basically there are, 48,000 samples of audio being taken per second instead of 44,100. So it's like, well, that's going to take more from you to do that, isn't it? But it's estimating that the buffer duration would actually go down. So at 48,000... Hey, that's actually working. I'm surprised. Nope, we're not there. We are not there with that. So I'm surprised at 44 that worked at all. What if we did down to 256 and then just immediately closed the program and then reopened it? I think 256 is the place at which these VB audio cable drivers just go, I don't know, I can't work with that. Yeah.
Buy a Raspberry Pi and some electronic gubbins and make your own with blackjack and hookers.
Well, that's kind of what Noah Craw, where were my drums? I was scammed, refund. That's kind of what Noah Craw and I and actually Rex Skates were talking about some time ago for various, things that I have had problems with trying to do on these live streams, was creating a Raspberry Pi that did... just basically ran a simple VST host like this, which does not take an immense amount of processing power. I mean, you see right here, the CPU load, the amount of processing that it's taking to do all this stuff is very, very minimal. So it seems to me entirely possible that you could get yourself a $5 Pi Raspberry Pi, one of the really cheap ones, or one of the other systems that's been made where it's just like a $5 computer, CPU, a little bit of RAM, USB port, go, and run something like this in over USB, and then have an audio jack directly out of it, so that it's like it's now a brain, and it's got its own brain, and it's just doing what it does through a VST host that you configure beforehand, and then hook it up, and boom, you get yourself a $5 drum machine brain. But I don't know that that's actually doable. It's just an idea. Remember when we were going to do that effects box? What happened to that? Where's my official business partnership email? Well, you know, you start making it. There are a lot of things going on, trying to get USB drum devices set up. It's just... It's close, but it's not. Like, I can't play like that. So we need to lower the latency even more. Now, I don't think that this will break everything if I show you this. Let's see. So if we go, instead of all these different things, if we go straight to my speakers, cross your fingers that it doesn't break everything. Straight to my speakers at 48, 192, buffer duration now 4 milliseconds. Click OK. Okay. You can still hear me, so it didn't break that. That's perfect. That fired the moment that I hit that. Can you hear that? You can't hear that. Now I can make it so that you can hear that. I had this setup working just a minute ago as well. So if I were to... what, Pawn? If I were to go into my audio settings in OBS, put in an auxiliary microphone device, and make that auxiliary microphone device the stereo mix, now you can hear it, right? Now you can hear it. Monitor the output. That's what I got set up from before. Yeah, Germasian. So we monitored the output of the, there's basically, most modern sound card drivers come with their own sort of VB, virtual audio cable, so that you can turn what's coming out of your speakers into a sort of microphone source, and then you can monitor that as well for tricky setups like this. So I've got it. Oh, hell yeah, not cluster truck, says Bearsuit Lane. I changed things around for you there. You seem to have, no, and RMAJ, you seem to have misspelled that as well. It's cluster truck. There's some T's and R's in there. So now it's working. The problem is, if I wanted to then, say, play a song and play along with the song, unrecoverable playback error, unknown error, cannot play, I can't send anything to the speakers now, but I can play these friggin' drums. I mean, as well as they can be played. I will complain about them later. Also, this pad's supposed to squelch, and it doesn't squelch. There's a button in there for you to be able to do that, so I don't know why that doesn't work through this, but I can play. Damn, Pong, you go! Wow, yeah, I can play some drums. So I can play now, but I can't like, you know, play along with Musax, which is my problem. And test play, yeah, the audio is not going to play back through that either. You know, none of the samples that you could play through the overlay, nothing's gonna fire because Cantabite or Cantabile Light here. There you go. X-Files coming through. Do you hear it? No, you don't. Because Cantabile Light now has the huevos of the PC's audio in its grip. Linux, maybe this is why are those in the names? I'm sorry for the talk creams not working. I should have let you know a little bit earlier that that's not going to work. None of it's going to work. But yeah, so if we come back over here and I mute the audio, we can at least play a little bit of drums for a second. So I'm going to mute my microphone so you don't have to hear it slapping on the pads and stuff. So this is what it sounds like when I've muted my audio. So I can play some drums now. The problems with this drum kit just in general practice as a drum kit are you'll hear me like double hitting the kick a lot there. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to go bub with my foot, but these are the kicks, and it's basically just an on off. Is it though? God, because it looks like it is on off. How are you doing that? Oh, the button must be there. Okay. Yeah, so it's just an on off. There's no velocity to these. There's no piezoelectric device or, little speaker that this is how MIDI usually works with drums is you get little piezoelectric speaker thing, and then when you hit it, it sends an analog signal of it jiggles the speaker, and so it's the opposite of putting an electric signal to a speaker to create audio. You're creating the impact and the velocity and the audio, and then that pressure on the speaker is converted into an electric signal, and then the electric signal goes down at whatever velocity you just shook the little speaker at, is kind of a way of thinking of it. So these don't do velocity, and the other thing is that they're very touchy, both of them. And trying to just hit it once, it's really easy to so these could be improved, or you could replace these with basically these pads, or your own improvised piezoelectric device that could actually do this well and not suck. Also, the hi-hat is similarly like a binary state. It's either closed or open. On the other one, it's just the exact same pedal. Completely, you can just swap the two of them out. So that one, even though, a hi-hat is supposed to be able to do, be various degrees of open, that's just either open or closed, and there's nothing you can do about it. And honestly, whenever it sends the signal, because it is just like a hard snapping close, it sounds wrong, too. So those are kind of bad. The opposite of a speaker? A microphone, says Noah Craw. Basically, but it's not like what's in this vocal condenser, which is a hanging little plate that's suspended by springs that shakes and vibrates. It's literally, it's one of those little speakers that you used to get in computers for boot up sounds, for it to beep and stuff like that. It's basically that. But because you're shaking the speaker, it sends the electric signal. I'll jiggle your speakers, says Bearsuit Lane. Still sounded good. Give me a 7/12 beat challenge for I don't know what that is. So we'll have to look it up. So there's the deal, is I can play this thing. But if I do, I can't play music with it. And that's the challenge, and that's why, we're late to the live stream, is me trying to figure out, can I get the audio routed in such a way that I'll have low latency, like I need, in order to be able to play it, but that I'll also have the audio for the rest of the PC be playable so that I can play a song and then play along with a song. And and I'm just still trying to wrap my head around that. Get your dad to play the guitar in the background. He's in Florida right now, actually. Theoretically, we could do, if I really wanted to get into this, I could get my guitar, and then we could, I'd have to build a whole setup for it where we could, record the guitar line, and then I'd come back and play drums over my own guitar line and stuff like that. We could build our own, songs just out of randomness, just for fun on these live streams. I'm not set up to do that today. What I really want to do here is figure out what I got to do in order to get everything working so that we could play music through the live stream and get the drums working with reasonable latency. So with, perfect latency, because anything less than perfect is not reasonable. So if I go back over to, I believe I was on cable input B. Cable input B at 48K 320 hertz. That should still work. This will probably blow your speakers out, so, hold on. It didn't. Okay. Why didn't it? Was I going through A? Because the deal is I've set one of these up to, monitor constantly. So maybe I was going through cable input A. No, it must have been B. We'll put it on 320 at 48K. Now it's released, Cantabile Light has released the speakers there. So we have audio again. You can use the text-to-speech stuff and everything. So if I get this stuff over, so we're going through output A right now, aren't we? But let's go back to B, because that's where I'd prefer it to be, just for my mind. So cable output B, which is here, 48K 320, okay, and then I bring this over, and cable output B under recording, if I go to properties, and then I say, I want you to listen to this device and play it back through the speakers, that should work. But it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not, is the thing. Cable output, okay, so this is the microphone. See it popping. And then this would be for the drums, so yeah, and it is working. It's going to cable output B, but for whatever reason, cable B, even though it's set to monitor through the speakers, is not doing that thing. Let's go up to the stereo mix, and we're not listening to this device? Okay. Just play back through the default device. In fact, since we're not using it right now, go ahead and disable that. That might have broken something in OBS. Yeah, that's weird. Now that's not working. So this is basically what I've been, dealing with. Is trying to get everything working. So device not connected or not available. Good. OBS is smart enough to realize that. What you need, my friend, is a physical mixer, says Noah Crow. What I'd need is a brain, then. I'd need a brain for the drum kit. Because this needs to function as the brain. Something needs to function as the brain, anyway, because Lord knows I don't have one. And meanwhile, here's ASIO for all, which is one of the things that we use, that I've used in the past for solving this kind of thing. ASIO is a much faster sound capturing standard that is another exclusive sound handling methodology in software. So it locks you out of anything that you tap into. I use ASIO for all for the microphone. I've got the mic comes into, and over here, and I'll try and lift this up and show it. I don't want to break anything, but it's that with, and it's a Zoom. There we go. Okay, so it's a Zoom H4 handy recorder that I've had for years, and microphone lines in down at the bottom. You can't see it, but I can't get it up any higher either. But the XLR cable comes into this, and then this feeds into the computer, USB, and then I use ASIO for all in order to get super low latency on the microphone, so that when I speak, it matches what you see Mostly. So I've got that going on for grabbing the microphone. I'm using ASIO for all in order to make sure that the latency is low on that. Now, what I could conceivably try is if I disabled ASIO for all for the microphone and had the microphone go directly to Wasapi output. Would Reaper... No, you can do shared Wasapi with Reaper. So I could have my microphone basically not go through ASIO for all, which would add a little latency to my speech. And then I'd have ASIO for all freed up, and maybe I can get ASIO for all to handle the drums. Paul, what the F? Why are you making good content? Go back to Cluster Truck. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is that Jim? I can never read your... Yes, Jim's here. Hey, Jim. Yeah, we're playing with these drums, man, and I just can't get them going. Literally just ordered a Zoom H4n Pro for recording my playing. Didn't know you had one. The H4n Pro is great. This is the earlier, you know, the pre-H4n model. It's an older H4, but yeah, it's a neat deal. You know, cross two microphones for stereo and an XY configuration right on the end, just being able to like travel around. You pull this off, you got these two microphones. Whoop. For those who don't know, Noah's seen it obviously, but you get these two microphones coming out here, condenser microphones directional, so you can point it at something and get like an actual stereo field. And actually, for a while when I was recording myself for other YouTube channels some of you have gone and found, I would set this up so that it was like at a certain angle so that one of those microphones was pointing down and toward the hole on my guitar, and the other one was pointing up and toward me, so just at an angle, and then I could sing and play guitar and get a nice, warm, rich kind of a sound out of it. I'm back with a PB&J sandwich. What did I miss? Just me sitting here, you know, not actually trying to fix this thing. So I guess we could try, basically, like, if I start down this hole of going into ASIO for all and trying to free it up in order to try and then use it with Cantabile Lite, we are going into our own special version of hell. I'm going into my own special version of hell, because this is a very touchy setup that I've built, and I got it stable, and I have just tried not to touch it ever since that. There's so many virtual audio cables and tricky things that are going on here. If I go down this hole, then you won't be able to hear me for a minute, and I, you know, hopefully we'll be able to get it back working again. So do we go down this hole together? Just to see if, you know, I got this suspicion that the virtual audio cables just aren't going to work at all at a latency, at a, what do you call it in this program? At a buffer size less, you know, that's at 256 or less. And ideally, I'd like to be down at 192 for the fastest, you know, recoil on these things. The other, like, what's the other option? What are your other options right now? If I have the drums go straight to the speaker output, then that takes the speaker output up completely. And then what do you do from there? What do you even do from there? I don't think I can't come up with anything off the top of my head anyway. So we're going to go down that rabbit hole then. I'm going to do some horrible things. Here you go. Let's put it all on screen. There you go. This is Reaper. This is what I use. If Houston were here, he'd sound like this. He's got a special track with his own kind of effects on it in order to try and make it sound like Houston. But he's not here today. So this is what's, you know, always on my secondary screen, making the audio sound the way it does to a certain extent. So I'm going to start ripping this apart, which means I may go inaudible for a bit here. Now we've got audio again. Now you can hear me again. So I've gone into, by the way, I'm going to bring you over here so that you can tell me whether my lips are actually syncing with my voice. And 1, 2, 3. Whether or not that's anywhere near where it's supposed to be. Ronan Pawn, how accurate were the subtitles? I'm too tired to be awake and too awake to be asleep, says Jim. Play communism theme song? What? The Sound of Silence? PC sound works. Oh god, what is that horrible sound? Like a million souls screaming. It's about 0.5 seconds slow. Is it? Is it? Let me actually look at my settings on OBS and see if I've got any sort of time delay on it. Settings, audio, 0 milliseconds on that. The microphone, advanced audio properties? Yeah. I have no sync or offset set on it, so okay. Okay, so that would require me then to delay the video to catch up to the audio, I guess. But I can deal with that another time, because we're trying to get this drum thing working. So now that we've freed up my ASIO for all, let's get Cantabile back up. And under the options, if we were to... by the way, are you still, like, working if I cancel back out of that? Yeah, okay. No, Pawn, you're good, says RMAJ. Yeah, it's close. It's close. Okay. Options are... So now if we invoke ASIO for all on that, and we do that at 48... You want to do this at 48K? Always resample 44.1 and 48K? I think we'll do it at 48K. We'll see how that works out. Check, check, check. You can still hear me? Good. So for this now, sample rate of that, buffer size down to 192. And then the deal would be, we need the input. Well, we just really need one output. And it's set to VB audio cable B, out. Yeah. Okay, I think I've already done this, or tried a little bit of this. Latency compensation.
Here we go again!
Hit OK. Do you come back to life? Seems to have come back to life. So, problem is that is not on. That is, that's not, you know, brief enough. It's not snappy enough. But if we popped you open and we lowered the buffer size to 192 in there, does that change anything? Yeah, it changes something, all right. Let's go to 288. Well, 320. We know that 320 was working before. It's not going to work now because everything gets all messed up once you do it once. If I were to restore default settings, simple view, no, I want advanced view. Buffer offset, I don't understand what a buffer offset is about here. So if I just kind of refresh everything by going into options and then hitting the button again, bring it back to life. Not quite right, but it's closer. It's certainly closer. Well, I don't know if it's closer over what we were doing before, honestly. Tools, options, what are you showing? You say 192, this says 320. What the frig's the difference? Both of you? Does ASIO have its own buffer and you have your own buffer? I don't understand. I don't understand. So let's set you to 192. And then let's set you to... Shoot, we'll match it. And then we'll close it. And we'll close this. Because, you know, it's touchy like that. It's finicky like that. It might work. No, it responded immediately, but and then all of that stuff that you saw there, so no. Go up to 256. 256 on you. Match you with 256 here. I don't know if it changes anything one way or the other. We'll close it back down. We'll bring it back up. It's having trouble, and it's not quite there. I think it is closer, but it's not quite there.
The buffer are competing with each other.
Certainly seems like that, doesn't it? Doesn't it, though? So let's go down to 44.1 and see if I can't get it working there, because this whole thing seemed to be stabler when it was 44.1. So I'll close you down. That'll take everything out at 44.1, 256 on both of them. Yuck. Huh? Yuck. So 44.1 at, let's pull you back up, by the way. You down to 160, put you up to 320. I have no idea if these two buffer sizes are, if one overrides the other or not. I don't think that that's low enough latency. Definitely not. Definitely not low enough latency. Ugh. Ugh, 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 ugh. So we've got ASIO for all now, like, working, and the, you know, everything's still working, but, goodness me, oh my. You guys are... Oh. You guys have been hearing the drums, haven't you? Yeah, you have. Okay. Just checking. Tools... Options. Just turn down the latency dial, Ronin Pawn. Oh, I've been trying. Oh, the latency, you mean? Yeah, we'll just latency compensation. 64 samples. In, out. I don't know what that does either. No idea. Hit the OK button. Definitely not. Definitely not. You know, and just speaking critically here, there's no... I don't think that there's a way for you to go back in time and make things go faster, would be my concern. But shoot, since I don't know what these things do, let's play with them. ASIO buffer size in the program, right down to 64 samples. Did it make a difference at all? What if it were all the way up at 2048? I think it's being completely overridden by what the program tells it to do. I think that's what's going on here. And if I turn you back down to 0 samples... I actually don't know. 1,000? I really have no idea. Both of you, all the way up. And then close it, and then reopen it, and... It's so like, it's almost, and it could barely, and why doesn't it? And I really think the limitation here is actually in these cables, these virtual cables. So 320 is, you know, nice. Let's try 296, I guess. No, sir. Maybe just set up a guitar instead. It's so much easier. Is it an electronic guitar that needs a brain inside of it? Because if I double buffer the audio, that's gonna just Kill it. It's, well, it made it stabler, but it also, you know, is the latency is not, can't, won't do. Let's keep going down with the double buffered audio and see where we land. See how low we can get while we're double buffering audio. Probably to just the same amount of, you know, buffer duration length, wouldn't you think? Let's go down to 192 on that. Okay, 192 just ate it. Yeah. So let's go back up to 200. Huge change right there. And the thing is, I do have to, like, probably close the program and bring it back online to see if it can come up with some stability. How about make it so it is exactly one hit behind? Problem solved. Just increase the latency. Yeah, nope. Nope. And honestly, I'm not sure that that's really close enough anyway. What if we were back at 48K? What if we went up to 96K? I'm just throwing things against the wall now, and that's it's ridiculous. It does say that the buffer duration should be shorter at 96K, which is ridiculous. But if we double buffered and we went back up to like 320 at 96K, it says it should be down to 6.67 milliseconds latency. Yeah, sure. It's actually closer than we've ever been before, I think, in the latency there. I'm going to close you down. I'm going to start you back up. This is a good call, Pawn. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. It's just, it's so finicky and touchy, and you never know, like, it definitely doesn't feel like a computer, is what I would say. If we go down to 296, 96K, double buffered audio, okie-doo, and then that ain't gonna work. But, I mean, it worked just a second ago when we were doing it different. Lowest sample rate possible. That'd be nice. What the hell, you know? It's just weird. It's weird. It'll work and then it won't work. 88.2. No? You don't like that? Options. Give me all of the samples that I can get. 192,000 hertz. I mean, if it takes more CPU or something, do it. So, buffer size needs to increase with sample rate in order for, you know, that to actually function, is what I'm going to say there. So we'll go up to 512 for it to have a chance, because it's so much more information. It's still double buffered, right? Yeah, it's still double buffered. We'll go all the way up to 1024, which is another standard for, I think it's where these buffer sizes start when you first open most programs. Yeah, at that rate, it's just too much. It's too much for it to handle all the buffer size. Back down to 96 at 1024, though. It's just not there. The latency is not, nope. It won't do. It don't do. It can't do. But I mean, it's not that far off for the fact that we're doing 1,000 buffer size with a estimated buffer duration of 20 some milliseconds. Let's go down to, say, 792. Why not? Do you still have the second PC? I could probably build another one. But no, I don't have the, I sold off all of the bits. Most of the bits anyway, but I probably have enough bits to be able to build another one out of something that's lying around. So that's, how low can we get on the buffer size where it still actually works? Let's just take smaller steps down to 768. I have no idea about this latency compensation, whether that's helping or hurting. So I'm going to set it back down to, in fact, restore default settings. I'm just going to leave you as you are, except for I'm taking that down. Buffer offset was set to 4 milliseconds when we first got here. So there's that. I don't know. If that was is helpful or not at all. In fact, if we turned this off and turned it back on, just to make sure that... Okay. And then we'll just see how low we can push the buffer size at 96 kilohertz. In smaller steps, just so that I feel like I didn't ruin it. 712. Honestly, I'm gonna put this both all the way back up. I don't know if it makes a damn bit of difference, but God, it felt better just a second ago for some reason. So off could just be the whole off-on thing, And you can hear that we're starting to get on the edge. We're starting to get on the edge of things not working. Buffer offset, 20.
Mend no above what you to play Safri Duos Play Tay Live.
I don't know what that is, but okay. Play Fuel by Metallica. Fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. 680. This is probably going to fall apart now. Yeah, it's still way off. When I actually tried to do something more than just some rolls and whatnot, not good. Wasn't feeling good. 640 now. See, so. No, it's really far off. I can't do a single thing with that. 640, go down to 560. Starting to take bigger jumps now. I mean, I don't know if I believe... Basically, I don't believe the millisecond rating that it says on there, which is why I'm kind of not paying attention to it. And we've jumped the shark, ladies and gentlemen. We have jumped the shark. So ASIO for all has not helped us. It's not gotten me any closer to what exclusive Wasapi integration straight into the audio has been able to do here. So what if we turn this premise on its head? Well, how would you do that? What is there a way for me to force the audio something profit? Like, I need the computer to just work also, but could I get anything else? That's the thing, is I can't get anything else to play through the main sound drivers when I'm doing Wasapi out direct to, one of these things. So one of the ideas would be, well, can you do Wasapi out to something else that isn't the main audio, and then pick up, that, and then listen to that and play that back? And that would be great. What if we had like all these virtual speakers that we could use? So, been there, done that. At least with the virtual speakers. And that's actually what we're doing right now. Run the drums into your phone or something. I'm sure there's an app for that. There might be. That's not a ridiculous idea. It is a ridiculous idea, but it's not a ridiculous idea, but it's a ridiculous idea. ASIO for all does not seem to be doing much for us. I mean, is there something that I'm missing here? I have this limited to just the one output, which is what you want to do ideally for ASIO. Limit it to exactly one output and no more. If I force the driver to 16-bit, if I just, restore default settings on all this stuff. No? You won't? If I do that, and then I make you active again, and then I click restore all the settings to default. There we go. Now I'm going to turn you off. And route you to VB audio cable, but not the, I don't need it. You know what? You can have in and out there. All right? So 8 to 192 kilohertz, 24 bits. We're reset. We're at 512 right now. And am I using ASIO for all? Yes, I am. 96 kilohertz, double buffered audio. Let's take the double buffer off. Let's go down to 48. Let's go down to 44.1. And then let's reduce the audio back down to 320. Okay, so it's firing, but it's not playing anymore. Why would that be? Let's pull up sounds and look at our recording lines. It's not going into the cable B output. Well, if we go to playback and look at it, yeah, no, it's not. So then we go back to the options, 44.1 ASIO for all. I get back in here. It's VB audio cable. We'll just go to the out. Yeah, we'll just go to the out. Close down. Okay. You good? I'm going to close the program down and reopen it. Because, these things are weird and goofy. So it's sending out. Oh, it came back to life. All of a sudden, out of nowhere. Okay. So that's that. If I were to... So I've got new options here, which is weird. We're looking at hardware buffers, kernel buffers, and I'll try the hardware buffer. Okay. So, I don't know if hardware buffering helps at all. Like, I would assume buffer is like, I have no idea. I have no idea. Paul, when are you going to speedrun installing Windows 95? That's got to be a pretty hard one to fight against, right? I mean, it's Windows 95. It shouldn't take more than like 3 minutes to install on an SSD, I would think, right? Okay. Wow. That is ages away. Turn that hardware buffering back off. Why would that be like that all of a sudden? I turn the buffer size down and it gets longer? What? Oh. Holy crap. That's close. That is really close. That is really freaking close. It's not there, but it's close. It's close. Yeah, I couldn't, but it's real close. Okay. And why are things suddenly working? Well, because nobody knows. That's the thing about this. And at 272. I don't even want to, like, I want to do this in tiny incremental stages because it's the kind of thing you touch it and it breaks. Yeah, see, it's starting to break. It's starting to break. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Damn. Stop, don't touch it.
IP.
Close the whole thing down. Give it a minute. Blow on the cartridge. It's starting to F up. You see how it's just slowing me down more and more and more because I can't because it's too far off. And we're talking about literally milliseconds here. And also you can tell that it's starting to like die under its own weight. Can a Raspberry Pi be a vector drive for a 1 or 3 phase 240 VAC machine? Sure. Whatever that says, whatever you mean says, yes, absolutely. We're going to 48K. This is not going to work because it's going to put additional load onto ASIO for All and the audio driver. Actually, it's working better, but it's still not like close enough that I could play it. It's slowing me down. I'm just playing according to what my ears are hearing. I'm not trying to slow myself down with that. Back into ASIO for All. Latency compensation is 32 samples. Could someone explain to me maybe latency compensation? Like ASIO for All latency compensation. What the hell does that mean? Latency compensation sliders. It's ASIO, there's a main slider for setting the overall number of samples and it defaults to 512. Latency compensation defaults to 32. What are the optimal settings? What's this about? Assign MIDI to the TTS1. So I got rid of ASIO for All. It's generic interface, which happens to be a catch-all. It's not smooth. It sucks. And then they start talking about something else and said, thanks guys, you answered my question. And then latency compensation sliders according to this. Then set the latency compensation sliders according to your measured results. What? Cool. Okay, so 0? That's what I think they said 0. I'm pretty sure I looked really deep into it and I found out. And everybody agrees 0 is the number that you want there. Turn everything off. Turn everything back on. It's starting to fall apart, isn't it? So maybe a little bit of, there's probably reasons why that. We'll just half it. We'll do 16 samples there. We'll close the program down entirely. We'll open it back up. Everything going again. I mean, it seems like it's getting closer, but that's almost certainly a lie. If we go straight down to 256, this is where it always falls apart for us. Whenever it's 256, it just... Yeah, you can hear it. It's really close to being usable, though. I'll tell you that. It's really close to being usable. So, Like, where it would probably be usable is 192. 48 kilohertz. Thank you. We'll do that. That will not work at all. We'll turn you off. Turn you back on. Still not quite right. Anyway, close it all the way down, bring it back up. So, yeah, I just, and you know what? It might not be, let's look at this without going through the VB audio cables. Let's see if there's a possibility of doing it in some other way than going through the VB audio cables. So, that's the problem, is like, these are output devices in this list. And, because the VB audio cables have two sides to them, input and output listed in sounds over here, I can use the output and then be able to like also use the input and say I want to monitor this device as it's playing back. So basically I need something that is also considered a recording device that I can monitor. And what I've got is the Zoom, which is being used for the microphone here. I've got the webcam, but if I turn that on, it would turn on its microphone. I've got, you know, line ins and stuff like that. And here's the thing, I have the stereo mix from the actual sound card, which is what I was using before when it works. Like, that works. I've got Steam's streaming speakers available, and then it's just all those. So it's kind of like, it's either the cable outputs or something like this. If I enable you, why do you do that? Why do you do that? It changes the default device whenever you turn something on, which is just great. Just great. We're all curious about one thing. What nasty porn is in your recycle bin? Recycle bin takes ages to open. Or it's on a different screen. Or it takes ages to open. There it is. There it is. What's in my recycle bin? Whoop. Right there. New PB, bronze medal, World 1 cluster truck. You can't buy me hot dog man.mkv, run faster, jump higher. There's the porn, and then snakeathons, and you can't buy me hot dog man. Let's just empty all that out. We don't need any of that. You're done. You're done. Yes, permanent delete. So I could try, like, I've just enabled Steam's internal streaming speakers. If I were to then go to use, so I disable that one, and I go to Steam's streaming speakers, and I use just the output for Steam's streaming microphone. Right? Steam streaming speakers, internal aux jack. Oh, no, okay, so that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. We don't want any of that on. What we want on is Steam streaming speakers just to the out. Yeah. And then we'll turn you on. Do you like that, baby? And then if I go to that now and I say listen through the default playback device, okay, and then we touch something. It's still coming through cable output B, because I think things need to, like, you know, be turned on and turned back off after I've changed the settings around. Now double check. Yeah, now we're doing Steam streaming speakers. Good. Just turn that off. We'll just turn that off a bit. Okay, so Steam streaming speakers. Let's go down to 44.1. Cool. So, what are your qualities here? Exactly. Listen levels. Advanced. 1 channel, 16-bit. 44.1. Okay. Is that gonna give me information that I can use? Let's say I go back up to 320 on this. We're 44.1, so that's cool. And then turn you back on. So that's not gonna work. That's definitely not gonna work. Yeah. So ASIO for all does not seem to be a thing that I can do. If I go straight to the cable outputs themselves, that's where we started, right? We're going to go back there. So we'll go to cable A input there. We'll say, no, we'll do cable B. Cable B, 48K, 320, just to try and get something working. Cable B is, let's go ahead and disable that again. Cable B, are we monitoring you? We are. We're listening through the default device. Oh, got to turn you back on. So that's working again. But the latency is awful. And then when we go down to just as high as 256 on this, it starts stuttering. Yeah. So if I turn you off, turn you back on, close the program, reopen the program, let it get settled. Yeah, no. So that doesn't work. But what does work, and this sucks, because I don't know how, like, what am I going to do with this, is if I just go to my main speakers, and I put it out at 48K, 192, and I click OK. Now, any, like, audio that you guys send, play some audio, that's not going to work now, because this has just put its teeth into, you know, the thing. This is just taken everything over. But I can hear that now, and it's playing perfectly in sync. And if I want you to hear that, all I have to do is go over to the audio, add a microphone device in, and it's just got to be the thing that we actually disabled just a little bit ago. So if I come back over to sounds, to recording, and then I re-enable the stereo mix, and when I do, it's going to, oh good, it didn't change it from, okay, nice. So stereo mix is now enabled. Listen to this device through the, no, I don't need to. I don't need to, it's just there. And then when I add this back in to OBS, stereo mix, now you guys can hear it. And that's perfect. Like the time, there's no loss of sync there. So then I can do stuff like this. And it doesn't squelch. Faster, Pawn. Faster. So. Can I... The problem is the is the link between inputs and outputs. So if I could play this back to... If I could play this back directly to the stereo mix that we're sending things through right now, then that might be able to work. So that would mean routing, like, all of the computer's sound through, let's say, cable B. And then if I could attach cable B to play back through stereo mix. But it won't, because stereo mix is not an output. It's an input. So if we go here and we said, listen to this device, play it back through there, but it won't give me like speakers, you know, I can't tell it to play back through the stereo mix. And this is the fundamental, you know, why you know workness of what's going on here. Because I could set this up, I can totally sit here and tell you that I could set this up so that you guys can hear the audio on the PC, but I can't. But we both need to be able. Ice Cream, you need a virtual mixer, says Dramatian. Those exist. I've used them before. Will it help? Will it help if I reinstall Banana? If I bring Banana back to my PC here. Because here's, let's see, so Banana. VB Audio Software. Yeah, I did a thing, and then I paid a thing, and then sure. So VB Audio, not shop, just take me to the main VB Audio. Okay, so Voicemeeter Banana. Let's go look at that. So this is a virtual audio mixer that does kind of enable you to do the sorts of things that I am doing, which is to do some sort of routing and bouncing things around. Now, Banana is actually kind of, well, this is Voicemeeter, and Voicemeeter with non-Banana is kind of limited. Banana has some more options. You've got more inputs and outputs. You've got some virtual cables that are built into Voicemeeter Banana. I've had this installed before and used it before. I've never used Potato, which is apparently, that's new to me. I don't think it was available back when I was using Voicemeeter Banana. But Potato is apparently even more extensive, the ultimate mixer. My question is, will I be able to actually make all of this work even with that? Even with that enabled. Grindr is better than Tinder because you don't need to match to chat. No girls, though. Is the ultimate version of our audio mixer application endowed with virtual audio device to mix and manage any audio sources from or to any audio devices or applications. Dedicated to Voicemeeter expert users, Voicemeeter Potato offers internal FX and external aux through send, return workflows. So I believe this is one that is distributed as donationware. Choose your price and then you can donate. Well, I just donated for the virtual audio cables that didn't actually solve my problem at all because they're too high latency. So that's my concern, is that this is the same manufacturer. They're going to be, the cables and patching and, you know, methods and stuff like that is going to be the same methodology. Will I be able to route everything to the places where I need to with this? And my answer is, couldn't hurt to try. My next question would be, could I just do it with Banana instead of Potato? Because Potato is a lot, and like unless the developer, because I've spoken to him before and it wasn't great, unless the developer has like actually given in this version of the program control over compression settings. He was just giving you like the dumbest kind of compression you could possibly have, you know, which is cool for people who don't know what they're doing, but I needed compression that would do what I wanted it to do. Let me just look at my effects here first off. In Reaper, let me show you what effects I use for Pawn. So I've got, actually, so this is a noise gate. It's a very specific noise gate where I've trapped the sound of this room, like when the heater is on. So the red line here is the sound of this room when the furnace is running, and it live takes out those frequencies so that even if the furnace kicks on, you won't necessarily hear it in the background. And when the furnace isn't on, it takes out some of the, some of the stuff you don't need to hear. Then I equalize my my voice. So just in case you're curious what it sounds like without the equalization, this is what it sounds like without the equalization. So this microphone is, what it is. But my equalization is what makes it a thing. And I've been using it for so many years, I know how to work with this microphone very well. And it does have, it captures everything that you need so that you can then equalize it. Then I put on a layer of compression, and it's a very weak compression, but if I get loud enough, then there's some compression that kicks in order to keep us from peaking. I just peaked, I'm sorry. But so I've got all of these gates going on. I mean, it'd be lovely to take all of this stuff out of the mix and just have like one mixer in the background that was doing it, but his FX are very like generic that he's integrated here, which is fine because he's just trying to do a couple of different things and give you the most generic. The things that most people would want to have around in a way that some of them will actually have any idea how to use. Like if you look very closely at this picture, can I zoom in on it? Yeah. So compression, that's what this top one is, compression. It's just a turn it up dial, and then he's got a gate over here, a noise gate. So you can noise gate and then you can turn compression up. The compression is, it's advanced, which is to say it's more intelligent than I am, which is to say it's stupid and it doesn't give me the level of control that I want over my compression so that I can get the sound that I want. It just does that like giant booming radio voice sound, which if you've got an open diaphragm condenser microphone like this one means that it's going to pick up the sound of a fly landing on the wall and amplify that. So, it won't solve my issues there, but maybe the routing capabilities will be useful. I don't know. It's honestly frustrating and makes me feel... What does? Sometimes I get a match from a very nice girl and say hi, because I have to as a guy, and then a few minutes later they unmatch without a single word. People suck. People definitely suck. Alright, shall we grab the potato and give that a try? I think we shall. Yeah, and go and give me the executable. One, because I trust this company. Or rather, the single developer who's pretending to be a company here. And also because I'm lazy and don't want to have to unzip things. So, okay. And then we're going to go to a live stream break. Before we dig down any deeper into this rabbit hole, and we're going to keep digging deeper, I need to step away from this for a couple of minutes. And then we'll see. But, we've got it working. It friggin' worked. Problem is, nothing else works as long as this works. I can have one thing working and nothing else. Those are my options. So if I turn this back off, and then I set our default output to that, there you go. Now why aren't you hearing that through desktop audio? If I place music, it doesn't duplicate. It's smart enough not to duplicate it? Okay. Well, whatevs then. We're going to take the live stream break, 7 minutes. When we come back, maybe you'll get another shot of my thick as I walk into the room. We're going to take that live stream break. When we come back, we'll continue trying to figure this out. because apparently this is more entertaining to y'all than watch me play Cluster Truck. 7 minutes, poured not out.
Rainbow lit by my window, rainbow singing at my door, and the Georgia pines and dandelions are bobbing in the careless summer breeze. Sunshine skipping on the sidewalk, sunshine not as bright as you. When you shattered free, you blinded me, and now I'm seeing stars around my head. And it's all I know. You're the afterglow that never fades. Tadpole squiggle in the water, tadpole dancing toward the light. From a pollywog into a frog in 20 seconds flat. Well, how about that? Mayfly skimming on the water, mayfly only for the day. And if love is just a fleeting whim, then why is it you never dimmed away? And it's all I know. You're the afterglow that never fades. After all these years of living in your shadow, after all these years of bathing in your light, the only thing I know is you're the afterglow that never fades. My love brighter than a diamond, my love shining like the sun. But I never try to close my eyes, I never want to hide you in the dark. Oh, and it's all I know. You're the afterglow that never fades. Oh, and it's all I know. You're the afterglow. So just take it
Hello, I am the Ronin Bond, and welcome back to twitch.tv/ Okay, that is really sad, isn't it? Wow. You just go away. Here, we'll play something else just to recover from the somber. There we go. There we go. Good lightsaber sound effect. That just cheered me up so much, didn't it? Bit of a downer. Yeah, it is. You know, when you're in the mood to be downed. So we are fighting to get this electronic drum kit working, which it already is. However, I can only play either the drum kit or have audio from the computer. It's exclusive, and we're trying to get past that hurdle. So right now, if I turn that on, you still got microphone. In fact, I'm going to kill the mic. So we can do that, but we can't play musics, and we can't have any of the sound effects for the live stream that's integrate with the overlay. Nothing will work unless with the drums being off. So our next, foray, just making sure that's all coming through, it is, our next foray into this journey of technology. I love it, says Maffycraft, don't you? It's cool. Now, if I could play some music on the computer and be able to play back with it, we could have some real fun. But we can't have real fun. We're not allowed. We're about to install a virtual soundboard, basically, a mixer, that I've had before, at least in another form, and that I don't have high hopes for working, because our problem is latency. And the only way that we can get past the latency so that the drums actually work when I hit them and not a tenth of a second later is to go straight to the sound card and go straight to the speakers. And putting the mixer in the chain, I just don't know that that's going to do anything different than what we've already done with all of the other attempts that we've made in the first hour of the live stream here. But that would be the next move. The only other move is the notion of, could I, and I don't think I can through a VST like this, VST host, Cantabile Lite, can I route the computer's output in here as another source, and then just have it so that when this is turned on, then all the audio from the computer can go through and into this, and it'll all come through this? And I don't think I can do that in here. Yes, my throat and stomach are making interesting noises. It's the beer. New route from the... And the thing is, how do I get an input in here that isn't, an input at the keys or from a MIDI device or something like that? Can I just bring in an audio source and put that next to it? And the answer in Cantabile Lite here is, I'm pretty sure, no. That said, Reaper is a full DAW, Digital Audio Workstation, and it supports VSTs, virtual instruments and things, and it supports MIDI. So what if I threw Cantabile Lite out the window, and then before I start ripping everything apart, they try and think through this, walk through intellectually. Could I have it so that the Digital Audio Workstation has a track that takes in the audio from, it would have to go through ASIO for all, wouldn't it? Probably. Because if we go into Reaper's options for if I were yeah, no sound when I've got the preferences open there. If I were to change I'd have to have basically a source of audio that was like ASIO for all, or was like the mixer that we're going to, go to install, so that I could pull in various sources of audio into the DAW instead of being locked down to one input. Both of the methods seem ridiculous and crazy, so I think what we're going to go for is the one where this is probably going to take a reset of the PC, which means, there will be a break in the live stream at some point. We've downloaded VB Audio's software's Voicemeeter Potato, and we're going to install that and give it a setup, and pretty sure... I've never tried to do this kind of thing. Oh, you know what I'm going to need to do? Close that back down. I'm going to need to open this as administrator, because, that's what we do around here. So under the downloads, run as administrator. Yes, indeed. Minimize you, screen comes back. So here's Voicemeeter Potato installing. Installing this, installing that. You must reboot your system to finalize the installation. You know what? Might not actually have to. Might not actually have to. Okay, though. It's been installed. Has it, though? So Voicemeeter, VB Audio, VB, it looked like something popped up for a second, and then I clicked the OK button, and it was like, oh, I'll shut this back down. We might not actually have to reinstall, because I did so with the virtual audio cables as well, and I didn't actually need to restart. Like, clearly, it didn't solve anything to restart. They were working. So let's turn off Cantabile. Shut you down. And then it's a matter of, like, Voicemeeter Banana. We installed Potato. We thought we were installing Potato, but the donationware... I think you don't get the link unless you donate. So, okay, hardware out. Select the main out device, and that's going to be, so A1. We're going to output to the main speakers. So, not MME, we want WDM, or we could do ASIO for all, but we're going to go WDM to start with. And we're going to go to Realtek High Definition Audio. And you can still hear me, so that's a good thing. Can you still hear... I'm not hearing it, so the answer would be, Okay, so Voicemeeter VAIO 3 input for the Voicemeeter and the thing. VB Audio virtual cable. Okay. So then why am I not hearing anything? Yeah, the lightsaber sound effect didn't play. Let me get like a piece of music playing back here. It'll go on for a good long time in case we get things working. So we're now going to the high definition audio. If I go over to our sounds and we look at playback, actually, looking at recording, I'm going to disable the stereo mix. And then in OBS, I'm going to remove it, just to remove an extra factor. It will probably be put right back in by the end of this process, or just nothing will work properly. So we've disabled that. Voicemeeter aux output. Voicemeeter output. VAIO 3 output. Okay, but you're not sending to the speakers, are you? If I go to playback, speakers on the Zoom, speakers on the other thing. Yeah, you just got input and your own output that's jumping right now, so maybe I do actually need to restart. Okay, we're going to try a restart then. So this is going to be 3 to 4 minutes for me to get restarted. Stay tuned or don't. I wouldn't blame you either way. We'll be back in 4 or 5 minutes, probably. Pawn kind of out, but not out, but sort of out, but kind of not, but sort of, but kind of not. is the thing. It's also sort of